Right now, something in your nervous system is running a background program that most people mistake for intelligence, and by the time this ends, you will know exactly which parts of your mind were built by understanding and which parts were built by survival. That distinction matters more than you think, because confusing the two is the trap that keeps people mislabeling a defense mechanism as a gift. Here is the claim that will annoy a portion of you before we even begin. A hard childhood does not make you smarter. It makes you faster, watchful, and armed, and those are not the same thing as intelligence, no matter how good the confusion feels when someone calls you perceptive. Disagree if you want, but sit with the next several minutes before you decide. There is a real mechanism behind this, and it has a name in behavioral science: hypervigilance. When a young mind grows up inside an unpredictable or unsafe environment, it does not get the luxury of relaxing into its surroundings. It adapts. It builds a constant scanning system, a shield woven out of vigilance, an early warning matrix running in the background at all times, cataloging faces, tones, silences, and shifts in the room the way a soldier reads a hostile street. This system never asks permission to activate. It deploys automatically, and it never fully stands down, even decades later in rooms that pose no threat at all. What you are about to hear are 8 signals of that system still running in you today. Score yourself honestly. The interpretation at the end is not the one you expect, and if you skip to the end without sitting through the evidence first, you will misread it completely. Signal 1. You read a shift in someone's mood before they consciously know it themselves. A small tightening around the eyes, a half-second of hesitation before a sentence, a change in breathing rhythm across a room. Most people miss these entirely. Your system was trained to catch them because once, missing them carried a cost you could not afford. This is not empathy in the abstract. This is a threat detection matrix, quietly running facial and vocal data through a filter that was never given the option to switch off. Signal 2. You cannot relax in a new space until you have mapped it. The exits, the tone of the room, who holds the power in it. This looks like situational awareness from the outside, and people will compliment you for it. But compliments do not change the mechanism underneath. A nervous system built by safety walks into a room and simply exists in it. A nervous system built by survival walks into a room and runs a security sweep first, every single time, without exception. Signal 3. You replay conversations afterward, hunting for a hidden meaning nobody else noticed. Here is the uncomfortable part. Sometimes there is nothing to find. The scanning matrix does not know how to stand down just because the danger is past, so it keeps searching for threats in conversations that were, in truth, completely safe. This is not depth of thought. This is unfinished pattern recognition still running the same old protocol on data that no longer requires it. Signal 4, and this is the one that exposes people without their noticing. Silence unsettles you more than open conflict does. An argument, at least, is legible. You know where you stand and what is coming. Silence is unpredictable, and unpredictability was once the exact condition that preceded danger. So your system treats quiet rooms and long pauses as a live threat requiring constant tracking, while people who grew up in stable environments can simply sit in stillness without their pulse spiking. I want to pause here for a moment because what you are assembling right now is not a diagnosis. It is a map of your own operating system. And a map like this only holds value if you keep it close enough to check before the next moment it activates without your permission. This channel exists specifically to keep sharpening maps like this one. Stay near it, and the parts of your mind that used to run invisibly in the background start showing up on the surface where you can finally see them working in real time. Signal 5. You mirror the emotional temperature of a room before anyone has said a single word. Walk in and you already know who is upset, who is performing calm, who
who is one sentence away from snapping. This is not intuition in the mystical sense people like to romanticize. It is a survival adaptation, built by growing up needing to predict a caregiver's mood shift before it landed on you. The upside is real. You read people fast. The cost is also real. You spend energy managing a room's emotional weather that was never your job to manage in the first place. Signal 6. Compliments slide off you and criticism lodges in permanently.
Praise gets filed under suspicious until proven otherwise, because a system trained to expect the floor to shift does not trust smooth ground when it finally appears. Criticism, on the other hand, gets treated as urgent threat data, stored, replayed, and cross-referenced against every past failure, because in the environment that built this system, missing a warning sign was far more costly than missing a compliment. Signal 7. You prepare for the worst outcome by default, even when the actual evidence points somewhere calmer. Call it planning. Call it caution. What it actually is, more often, is a nervous system that learned, early and repeatedly, that the good version of events could not be trusted to hold. Bracing for impact became the default setting, not because you were pessimistic by nature, but because optimism once got punished by reality often enough that your system stopped deploying it as a first response. Signal 8, the one hiding underneath all the others without announcing itself. You get exhausted in social situations that should be easy, even pleasant ones. Dinner with friends, a relaxed gathering. Somewhere in the middle of it, fatigue arrives that has nothing to do with the conversation itself. That fatigue is the cost of running the scanning matrix continuously, underneath a normal exchange that, for someone else in the room, required no extra processing at all. You are not bad at socializing. You are running two systems at once, and only one of them is visible to anyone else in the room. 8 signals counted. Here is the part that will not land the way you expected when this started. None of this makes you more intelligent than the people around you. It makes you more armed. Those are different weapons in different categories, and confusing them is exactly how this gets romanticized into something it is not. Calling hypervigilance a superpower is comforting because it turns an old wound into a trophy. But comfort is not the same as accuracy, and accuracy is the only thing that actually helps you dismantle what no longer serves you. Here is what the honest research actually shows, stripped of the flattering rebrand. Difficult early environments are consistently linked to lower measures of general cognitive performance over time, not higher ones. What does rise reliably is threat sensitivity, emotional reactivity, and social pattern detection. 3 specific systems built for surviving unpredictability, not 3 systems built for solving abstract problems. You did not get handed a gift. You got issued equipment built for a war that, statistically, is probably already over. So here is the actual protocol, now that the diagnosis is complete, and it has exactly 2 phases. Phase 1. You separate the signal from the verdict. When one of these 8 patterns fires, instead of accepting the automatic interpretation your mind hands you, you name the mechanism instead of obeying it. Not, "This room is dangerous." Instead, "This is my scanning matrix activating on old data." Naming the system in the moment it fires is what pulls the process out of autopilot and into something you can actually observe instead of simply obey. Phase 2. You test the alarm before you trust it. When the system flags a threat, you ask one deliberate question before reacting. What is the actual evidence in this exact room, right now, today? Not the evidence from the environment that built this system years ago, the evidence in front of you. Most of the time, when you run this check honestly, the alarm was reacting to an old file, not a current one. This single habit, repeated enough times, quietly delivers checkmate against a system still fighting a war that ended years ago.
You are not broken for having built this. You built exactly what your circumstances required at the time, and that is not a flaw. It is proof the system worked when it needed to. But a system built for a battlefield, left running unchecked in a peaceful room, does not protect you anymore. It exhausts you instead, quietly, checkpoint by checkpoint, in rooms that never asked anything dangerous of you in the first place. Keep this awareness like armor, not like a medal. You are not the sum of 8 defensive patterns built during a season that is already behind you. You are whoever decides, signal by signal, which parts of that old equipment still deserve a place in the room you are standing in today. Protect that awareness the way you would protect anything valuable, and never let an old alarm keep steering a life that is already, quietly, become safe.